Downing Street Cats tells the story of a gang of cats and their charismatic leader Palmerston. With their ability and mischief, Palmerston will always try to rise above the cat-fighting and paw-dropping clangers that the other two do. He always eats for free, thanks to the ever-ready presence of the world's media on his doorstep. He also enjoys playing jokes on the staff, including the Prime Minister. But he's also always been watched by the Chief of Police at Downing Street, PC Eric, who may be strict with them at times, but is in fact a friend to them all. You see, I'm not just any ordinary rescue cat. I didn't while away my time sleeping and eating while at Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. I took full advantage of their online training and language courses. So while humans think I'm just your normal domestic cat, I can in fact fully understand how to operate a laptop, Twitter and Facebook, and because of my extra skills, I've taken it upon myself to show true leadership and take on the running of this great country of ours. As you will hear from my various jottings, the PM has been more than happy with some of my decisions so far. But as I say, keep this a secret, as I am a really one-off special cat. Thank you for keeping our secret. Meet Palmerston. As I surveyed the waiting press and media, I let out a huge yawn and stretched out across the Downing Street pavement. Oh, no, I thought to myself. David promised me a trip to the cattery, but seems to have forgotten all about me in his rush to leave. My personal look, is ever so important to me. I looked around and saw the soon-to-be ex-boss of mine on the steps of number 10, looking dashing and healthy in his smart blue suit, along with his model-looking wife and children. I took the opportunity to people-watch once again. I noticed a rather worn-out-looking presenter from Sky News, who it had appeared was not an animal lover. Each time he made his way over in the past, well, she'd always sort of shooed me away. Naturally, I delighted in trying to trip her up while circling between her legs. Along with her worn-out shoes, she also had a huge ladder in her stockings. I swiped at her other leg in order to make the ladder match. But she began to get angry. "Go away, you smelly thing, just go away," she hissed, in that awfully strong Wigan accent of hers. Rushing back to my favourite spot between the doors of number 10 and number 11, I once again took a long view at the crowd. Usual suspects, I said to myself. But then I spotted a rather nice grey-haired man from the BBC. I thought, and I made a beeline for him. I liked him because at Christmas, while visiting the Prime Minister for a chat, he always brought gifts for the Downing Street staff, even us pets. There was always something special wrapped up in a tin, crinkly brown paper, that sort of thing. I always liked to play with the shred and, of course, get my claws into the string. Making my way over, I was pleased to see it was Mr. U, as I like to call him. He was smiling and reaching out with his hand to welcome me. I wonder what treats he will have for me today, I thought. Last time it was some nice beef jerky and some rather nice lumps of meat, even though they're a little bit overcooked. I took a sniff towards Mr. U's bag and caught the unmistakable aroma of tuna sandwiches. As Mr. U, who was wearing his new BBC coat and scarf, despite it being high summer, continued to stroke my fur, I took another opportunity to hiss at the Sky News reporter, who chided me away earlier on. As I was being stroked by Mr. U, I thought just how much my life had changed since I was picked up from the Cats Home at Battersea. It was nice and warm, but nothing like this place. The main difference here is that there are a lot more visitors. Some, you see, are welcome, some you don't. For instance, at the Cat Home, people just wanted to stroke you, meet you, feed you. It took some time to getting used to having to pose for my camera crews and photographers, plus, of course, making sure I looked my absolute best with my collar straightened, claws clean and whiskers standing proud. At the Cat Home, I could have an off day, I could relax, even sleep all day if I really wanted. Saying that, I am enjoying my new surroundings and in particular my new sleeping arrangements. My boss thinks that I sleep in my new basket, but once he's gone to bed, I find his in-tray far more comfortable, to be honest. The cameras began clicking heavily when Mr. U's attention took him back to the matter in hand. His shots, and if anyone wanted a selfie with him, well, or me. I adjusted my whiskers with my rather grubby paw and looked back on the crowd. all snapping and shouting for the departing boss. Yes, but would Mr. David miss me? Slowly walking back into the office, I shared with some of the other ministers the newspaper headlines on the desk which caught my eye. "Claws out, it's all kicking off in Downing Street," it said. After a month of drastic change and bubbling tensions amongst Westminster's big beasts, things have started to turn violent. It appears my recent scrap with Larry down the road has hit the papers. Is nothing private here anymore? I pondered while looking decidedly annoyed at the picture of my feline counterpart, Larry, who, it had appeared, had got a bigger picture in the spread. I'm not happy. Who is Larry, I hear you ask? Well, Larry is the number 10 Downing Street cat, and he is the chief mouser to the Cabinet Office. Larry is brown, white, well, not too white now, and a bit of a tabby. He's quickly developed a reputation, though, for being late to attend meetings and aggression towards reporters and other feline pals. I find this rather annoying because I'm younger and yet far more dignified when it comes to public situations. The ex-Chancellor had started to, well, have some visiting dignitaries, and it was said that I was the ultimate cat and the best mouser that he'd had, something that had clearly upset Larry, who'd been here, of course, for a few years. For me, now this historical and eventful day started as all my days do. I had a good stretch out and I took time to look around the new posh office. I knew it was going to be a sad day as my boss, Mr. David, was soon to depart. I was about to give out my right paw a customary lick, but I was alarmed to see my new suspected boss, Mr. Boris, on the front page of the tabloid newspaper. He looks all right, I thought. Well, but I'm concerned about him bringing that other cat, perched on the top of his head, into our own surroundings. There are only so many new chaps a chief mouser in my position can take under their wing. I remember a shocking incident earlier in the spring when, partaking in my afternoon dish of chilled milk, I overheard people speaking in whispering voices, repeating the word Trump. This Trump person must be someone rather important, as it was followed with the words, "No, no, no." I made a mental note to log on and have a look on my laptop once the boss had departed for the day. I figured I should look up this man myself. Yes, it proved a big mistake. Now, just as I decided to stretch out and move forward and debate breakfast, I spotted Gladstone the cat. It seemed he'd not taken any notice of my stern words with him about sticking to his own patch. I stared long and hard out of the window and thought how I would deal with this problem once I'd eaten my breakfast. I was about to jump down from the desk when I noticed a lone reporter across the street. It was the new girl from Good Morning Britain. The problem with this new home, though, is I was forever being woken up by people talking to themselves outside the front door. And I mean literally, have you seen the ratings for Good Morning Britain? I knew that was actually the case. I briefly met the original reporter for the show called Miss Sue. She was a lovely lady who was forever bringing me some of those rather expensive pouches of cat food, not the cheap stuff that you get from Channel 4, but this stuff had a rather nice picture of a lady cat on the packet, a little airbrush perhaps, but nonetheless she was kind of feline perfect. Now, breakfast consisted of some of the nice choice cuts from last night's farewell dinner at Downing Street. Although the turkey was a little bit dry, I didn't say anything, and my soon-to-be ex-boss has been on a strict diet recently, and that low-fat skim milk didn't always quite hit the mark thirst-wise. It was at this point that I decided to trot across for the now, well, daily constitution and have a look around the cabinet war rooms. Here I'd already made friends with a couple of feline associates who held a similar position to me, but of course they lived in a museum, while I live in the cut and thrust of all the action in the world of politics. Just as I was about to step out, PC Eric scooped me up and gave me the obligatory pat on the head, something I'm not really keen on at all. I liked PC Eric, as while he was slightly bossy, I did feel sorry for him having to stand outside in all the weathers. Hang on though, I thought, what's happening here? PC Eric was removing my favourite collar and replacing it with a new one. While doing so, he said, "You're going to have to look extra smart today, young sir, as the world's media are all going to be out in force, and we don't want this scruffy old collar on, do we?" And with one swift action, The collar was removed and a brand new one placed around my neck. I wasn't that keen, as it seemed a little bit tight. However, I did cheer up a bit when I heard the word chip. Lunch, I thought. Now, despite just having breakfast, I decided to smile in Eric's direction. But that was soon removed when I realised the chip, in fact, was not my favourite kind, but a microchip that the boss had said all of us cats here at Downing Street now must have. Thinking not for me, frankly. I jumped out of the policeman's hands and picked up speed across to the cabinet war rooms. As the events of this busy day unfolded, I thought it would be easy for all concerned if we were to have a run-through of this day, hour by hour, maybe even minutes. The event certainly caught me by surprise, to the point where I did wonder who was going to be serving me my dinner that night. So here is my diary of that rather unusual day. Now, it's just about 9:30 a.m. and I'm still reading from the shocking news that this will be the last day of my current boss, Mr. David. Now, I'm trying not to show that I'm upset and I purr around him each time he comes in, but I can see he's sad, and it's more obvious by the fact that he's walked past my empty bowl 4 times now. As I sat outside number 10 surveying the building media, I could hear Sky News and 5 News discussing why David was humming directly after he'd resigned. I cocked my right ear in their direction. They seemed to be making far more of it than it actually was. After all, who better than me to know just how stressful this job is? Of course he's relieved to be going. 9:44 a.m. It's just flashed up on the big TV screen that there will be a new Prime Minister by the end of today. Now, I do wonder if Larry and Gladstone are across the news as much as me. After all, like my boss, they say, we're in this together. It's around about 10:15 and the phone's been ringing non-stop. A cat can hardly get his head down for 10 minutes for a nap. There's nowhere really to sit here, as all the boxes have got removal stuff in. It seems everybody's excited about the goings-on. The media outside are getting more and more, and each time I head towards the door, I'm scooped up and told to stay inside. I'm getting annoyed. It's 10:45 a.m. Now, George from next door, George, the Chancellor, he's popped in just now. He looks a bit worried. Although, unlike David, he hasn't yet ordered a removal van, he was asking if he thought he might be kept on. Now, you know, from my exalted position on the floor, I can see that everybody's agreeing, of course you will, of course you will. But I, being a very intelligent feline, know better. 11:15 a.m. It's an odd job, you know this. People assume you're happy with what's going on around you, but with all this coming and going, and I have to say, it's making my tummy nervous. As I point this out to PC Eric, I desperately need to pay a call of nature. He scoops me back inside once again. It's coming up to about 11:30. It always pays to hang around by the bins, as you never know what you find. This is how I discovered myself, Larry and Gladstone had all been offered a deal to front a new multinational campaign on TV, no less. Yes, naturally, I'm annoyed because we haven't been told about this. What other deals have I not been told about, I thought to myself. Maybe we're not all in this together. I could have seen myself in a TV cat food ad, can't you? It's coming up to midday now. Finally, there's some peace and quiet. All the staff are gathered in the TV newsroom to watch Mr. David's final ever Prime Minister's Question Time. I have to say, he does look dashing in his brand new Paul Smith designer blue suit. It's a shame, though, that he didn't have time to touch up his locks, as I, for one, know that, in politics, nobody likes the sight of any grey hairs. And also, somebody's forgot to brush him down where I've recently been sat. Oops. Now, judging by the laughter from the room, the boss appears to be doing really well. Even grisly Mr. Jeremy has said a couple of compliments. You can't help but notice, though, that the sadness in the boss's eyes. While the others are all clinking glasses of champagne, I literally sit by my bowl, waiting. It seems today that everybody's forgetting about me and my thirst. Now, I have to say, Larry's not going to be too happy when I tip him off about the latest news. While taking a leisurely stroll across through the boss's desk, my right paw accidentally activated the screen, and what should pop up? Only his secret honours list, no less. But no mention of Larry, though. I do let an inward chuckle to myself. It's coming up to about 2 o'clock, and the boss will soon be back. so I take this opportunity to stroll over to tip Larry off about the latest news. After all, we don't want him breaking down with all the world's media outside now, do we? Dear, Larry's not taken the news well and decided to take it out on me. All in front of the press and the world's media. Oh, it really is a cat fight. Some people stated that I was goading him, but I was really only trying to be a good pal. I'm off to lick my wounds now. It's coming up to 3 o'clock and it's just come out to my attention that the boss won't be coming back. How annoyed am I? Steaming. I was at least expecting a leaving present. It seems that it's not just Larry who's annoyed. It's now me. I mean, what does a cat have to do to get a goodbye present? Gathering my thoughts now, it's funny to see how all the boss and his old stuff piled up in a corner. I haven't seen that picture of him laughing with Rebecca Brooks for ages. Well, not in fact the night that he ripped it off the wall in anger. I jump on top of the box for a closer look. There are more pictures, including one with Andy Coulson. He came to a sticky end too, and he was never too hot dishing out the food. He ended up in prison, I think. It must have been an eventful period at this point. As I sat on top of the desk, I decided to have a bit of a stretch out and a purr, and I thought to myself, we're going to have a new boss soon. Apparently she's on her way. I'm not too happy about this, though, because there are whispers she doesn't like cats. Does anybody know? Can they confirm this? I call a meeting with Larry and Gladstone at the back of number 10 in the famous Rose Garden. Now, for once, we're not fighting, and we all agree that I should take charge and find out more. Yeah, well, that's easier said than done. Just after 4:15, and in order to create a diversion, we decide to walk across to the media area. There's an overweight foreign reporter who almost steps on Larry while clad head to foot in Primark. I have to say I'm pleased to see there is some class come to the proceedings, though. The ever-delightful Fiona Bruce has rocked up. Now she knows a thing or two about antiques. Yeah, now we're just all waiting for the new boss. Apparently she's delayed. So in order to fill in time, as they say in the business, the press look towards me and point their cameras at me. They're all being nice now because they want me to do tricks on the pavement. I don't oblige, as I don't want the boss thinking I could easily be pushed around. You have to have some decorum, you know, in this job. Don't you hate a show-off, though? I'm now back in the house, even though we'd all agreed. Larry's out front, on his back, paws in the air, rolling around, and no doubt grabbing tomorrow's headlines. Do you know, I'm not happy about this at all. Now, I'm sitting on the steps of number 10, and PC Eric is beside me, and he's a bit nervous. And he says to me, very soon, you know, we'll have a new boss. I looked up at him and gave him my most angelic look. I thought to myself, and so will you, matey. Don't get cocky. At 5:15, a car sweeps up and out steps my new boss. I have to say I'm very impressed. She's well dressed and her husband has a very nice suit on. Looks very expensive, something I could get my claws into if needed. I've got a magnificent position here on the steps as my new mistress makes her way to the lectern to deliver her maiden speech. I cast an eye across the media. She has them spellbound. Me, though, I'm wondering how will I get to keep on running the country with such outlandish claims? And more importantly, is anybody going to remember it's time to feed me? You know, it's tough being Palmerston the cat, running the country, controlling your boss. I'm just letting my new secret friends let you know into a bit of a glimpse into the secret world of the Downing Street cats. It's the #1 political book. Find all about your favourite feline friends Larry, Gladstone and Palmerston in the Downing Street Cats. Available now.